Hello, I'm Scott Thompson, and welcome to After 10. Since day one of the Park Geun-hye administration, the creative economy has been a focal point, and part of its mission is being addressed by something called creative management. On today's After 10, we are joined by Professor Cho Myung-hwan of Konkuk University, who recently won the grand prize at the Korea Creative Management Awards 2013.
Korea launched its creative economy drive in the year 2013. The Korean government and major media organizations established the Korea Creative Management Awards as part of efforts to boost Korea's creative economy. Figures from the political, economic, and medical fields were honored for their contributions to the creative economy. And the grand prize was awarded to Professor Cho Myung-hwan of Konkuk University. As an expert in the biological sciences for over 2 decades, Professor Cho has proposed a new model for so-called creative management based on his experiences as a venture businessman and his interest in issues affecting the international community. Meet Professor Cho Myung-hwan and hear more about a new model of creative management.
Professor Cho, thank you very much for being on the program.
Thanks for having me.
And first and foremost, congratulations on winning the grand prize at the Korea Creative Management Awards 2013. That is quite an honor.
Yeah, it was a great honor for me, especially, I'm a scientist. So it was a real pleasure to receive that award, yes. Let's
get into some of the reasons why you won the award, starting with helping to establish something called the Air Ticket Solidarity Contribution. This is something that may not be familiar with everyone out there. Introduce this idea to us, if you would.
Yeah, global solidarity tax is the mechanism to collect global tax from airline travel and reinvest its funds to the fight of malaria, AIDS, and TB in the developing world. So together, these 3 diseases are the largest causes of mortality among women and children in the developing countries. So this mechanism has become UNITAID, UNITAID. So when you travel, you might not know this. When you travel, actually you have donated $1 for economy class. Did you know that?
Right.
Oh, is it right?
Yes,
okay.
yes. I don't think a lot of people do know that, though.
Oh,
right?
okay, that's great.
It's a dollar's being taken out.
Yes. So every time you travel, when you take the international airline, $1 has been donated to treat children, of malaria, AIDS, and TB. So this painless tax is for the traveler is a great sign of global solidarity to help people in need. So today those small solidarity contributions have helped UNITAID collect almost $2 billion for the last 5 years. So this is the very first time that government have decided to impose a global tax to make globalization work better for the poor.
And this isn't just Korea, right? This is throughout the world. There are a lot of countries that are taking part in this particular program, right?
Actually, this mechanism was created in 2006. So at the time, there were 5 founding members, but right now it has grown up to 29 members. And 9 countries, 9 governments are implementing global tax from the airline travel.
And this idea, you mentioned it came into effect in 2006,
yes.
Right? How did the idea initially come about?
Because right now human rights are violated every day, every day in developing countries due to the extreme poverty that affects more than 1 billion people. A child born in the developing countries is 25 times more likely to die in the first 5 years of life than the one born in the north. So this life gap is not fair. It is not acceptable. Okay, so we thought about how to help, how to raise the money, to help these people. However, the problem is that our life is passing through the greatest economic crisis, and also most countries do not devote enough money to development. So because of that, we had to think about create a very innovative financing mechanism, which was global solidarity tax.
And again, the money is collected from this tax, $1 per ticket. It is then distributed, right, to other agencies throughout the world, correct? Is that
yes, yes. The thing is that actually UNITED is not implementing these projects. Actually, they give the funds to the international agencies such as WHO, Global Fund, and Clinton Foundation. So they implement the funds to help people in need.
And most of the people in need who are getting this help are in Africa, correct?
Yes.
Why Africa?
Because simply because there are so many people, who are being affected, by these three diseases. For example, in case of AIDS, there are about 34 million people are living with HIV and AIDS, but out of 35 million people, 22 million people are living in Africa. So that's why Africa need the help right away.
The air ticket solidarity contribution is one area you've been very active, of course, helping to contribute to that. You've also made a lot of contributions to the field of biotechnology as an entrepreneur in venture businesses. When you look at what you've done there, what would you count as being some of the bigger accomplishments that we should know about?
Actually, I worked at Stanford University as a visiting scholar as well as in Silicon Valley. So that period was the turning point for me to get engaged in biotech industry. So over there, as you know, Silicon Valley is the center for innovation in the world. So I was able to observe, witness, how startup companies are developed, how they failed, how they succeed. And then if you go to the Sand Hill Roads in Palo Alto, there are more than 90% of venture capitalists is on Sand Hill Roads. So I saw how business plan was developed, how they reviewed the business proposals. So that allowed me to get exposed to the business from science. I was before I went to the Stanford, I was just working in the laboratory. However, while I was in the Stanford, in the Silicon Valley, I could see the real world, how science is commercialized. Yeah, so in the Silicon Valley. So that was a really great turning point for me to get, to open my eyes, for business, besides the science.
And this falls in line with this idea of creative management, which is something that's being promoted right now, which you're also promoting as well. It's a term that some people may not be familiar with as well, creative management. What is the definition of the term in your estimation?
Yeah. While I was in the Silicon Valley, I found out there was a huge gap between the scientists and businessmen. They work together, however, they do not know each other. They do not understand each other. They do not know what they are talking about. So actually, they could maximize the proficiency, they could maximize the efficiency and productivity. However, simply because of the gap between the science and businessmen, I found out their productivity has not been really great. So that's why I try to understand. I try to understand the business area. So actually, after I came back from Stanford, I met a businessman, Mr. Cho Myung-hwan, and then we create a biotech company in Korea. So I was really lucky because I could implement my knowledge and experience in the biotech industry. So I could work with the businessman to commercialize scientific discovery into the products, which could be used by by people.
You talk about commercializing science. How exactly do you do that?
Okay. When I was at college, I dreamed to become a scientist because I thought I could contribute to the welfare of the people by science. So if I develop therapeutic drugs and if I develop vaccines, I thought I could contribute to the welfare of the people. However, while I got involved in creating a biotech company, I found out commercialization of a scientific discovery is very difficult process. For example, I developed scientific discovery. However, in order to commercialize that scientific discovery, businessmen should be there, accountants should be there, even designers should be there, even secretaries should be there, even janitors should be there. So if we want to create one biotech company, I found out that is kind of orchestrating activities of diverse group of people. So I realized scientists alone cannot commercialize the products for people. So that's why I think that mechanism could lead to the creative management.
Which brings us back to the initial question is, how do you do that? You've got these different sectors who are very separate from each other. You want to bring them together so they can collaborate and, of course, create products that we're all going to use. They'll,
Yes.
of course, reap the benefits of that by making profits. But again, how do you bring these different entities together?
That's why I said that you should be able to understand the other areas. How to bring those different peoples together at one place. They have to get motivation to be there. Okay. However, I'm the person who should attract those different peoples. So in order to attract those people in one place, in order to let them work together, so I need to understand their areas. I need to understand businessmen. I need to understand designers. I need to understand the accountants. Okay? So I need to understand. I need to know what they want. I should be able to direct what they have to do for the company. So that's why, and also sometimes I need to explain science, right? So I need to explain what we are going to sell to people. Okay, what kind of science is this? What kind of scientific principles are here? Why we could attract the customers, with these products. So they have to understand, science also.
You're talking about really a paradigm shift, and most paradigm shifts begin with education. You've emphasized as an educator that the natural sciences and engineering, these things should be taught not necessarily only in a laboratory, that people need to be involved in other areas as well, which is what you're talking about
Yes.
here. What sort of teaching model are you looking at here as being an ideal situation?
Okay, that's a good question. My teaching method is T education. Okay, T. So I'm teaching biology major students. Okay, so I tell them, you take biology class, and then you have to take social sciences and humanities. You have to take dance class. You have to take music class. Everything. This is T. Okay, and then you take more biology classes like this. This is T model. So I emphasize them. Especially for the graduate program, you have to try to take as many as classes. Besides your major, okay.
Make that top bar.
Yeah,
even
make
longer.
the top bar, and then you take more classes in biological science because you are majoring in biological sciences. So by doing this, that will allow you to open your eyes, to the business and to other areas. So when I'm teaching biochemistry and immunology, when I teach biochemistry, I explain the scientific principles, and then I ask my students, okay, how could you become a millionaire? How could you establish a venture company, startup company by using these scientific principles? How could you make money? I think you can become a billionaire. Why don't you think about that? Okay, so when I teach biochemistry and immunology, I teach scientific principles as well as I'm helping them, how to commercialize, how to apply this scientific knowledge, into business.
These things, of course, are easier said than done. To accomplish them, you've brought up some ideas here. Another idea that you have is a model, something called the corporate helix model. It's based on the triple helix. Explain a little bit, if you would, what that is and what the ultimate goal in using it is.
After I got engaged in the creating biotech company, I became more interested in the commercialization of knowledge, commercialization of science. So I decided to study in a business and public administration. So I went to Harvard Kennedy School, where I studied commercialization of knowledge, how to achieve economic growth by using science, technology, and innovation. Okay, so I found out if you look at around the world, some countries are really developed countries, but most other countries are developing countries, poor countries. I ask myself why? Why those countries are rich? Why those countries are poor? I found out, if you look at especially the United States, there are really good three entities: universities and industry and government. They have good universities, creating new knowledge. They have a good industry which is able to commercialize scientific discovery. And they have government facilitate interactions between the university and industry, okay? So for example, I was at Stanford and Silicon Valley. Stanford and MIT are the exemplary entrepreneurial universities. They create the new knowledge for the first time in the world. And the companies around the university commercialize their knowledge. So that is going to be first innovation in the world, okay? However, if you look at, for example, my country, South Korea, we have some good corporations, such as Samsung and Hyundai and LG. However, we do not have really good entrepreneurial universities, like in the United States. So I thought, my conclusion was that our GDP per capita is about $25,000, but it should be above $40,000 to become in the developed countries. So I started at the Kennedy School. I investigated how much knowledge South Korea import and export. I found out our country is importing more knowledge than they export. That means even though we are selling so many products, we are selling so many galaxies, so many scientific products, we have to pay for their patents. They imported from another country, from Japan and United States, okay? So my conclusion was that we have to have entrepreneurial universities which is able to create new knowledge for the first time in the world. Otherwise, South Korea cannot become a developed country. So that made me to develop corporate helix model. Okay. So next question is that how could we entrepreneurial universities all of a sudden? Okay. It takes long time. So we cannot wait 50 years, 100 years. So my model explains that instead of waiting for that long, for example, if you look at the Samsung and Songyungan University, Samsung acquired Songyungan University, and Samsung has invested $50 million every year for more than 15 years. Okay? So Songyungan University has been transformed into entrepreneurial universities. Another case study. In the post-tech. POSCO established the post-tech. Okay? They invest a lot of money, huge investments, okay, for that university. Post-tech has become one of the best schools in Asia and the world as well. So that is kind of corporate helix model. So we have to have entrepreneurial universities. How? That is explained by corporate helix model.
And this is, of course, mutually benefit to everybody involved, sure. Which begs the question, why are more companies not doing this right now?
No.
Why is that?
Because they have to invest, right? Because the university is not the organization, profitable organization. That is the non-profit organization. Right. So corporation should have in a philosophy, they contribute for the society by investing a lot of money for the universities. So Samsung is not making money from Songyungan University, and later they are investing a lot of money. Okay. So, however, as you said, that is good. That could be good for both of them. So, that university could create a new knowledge for that corporation, and corporation is helping that university by investing money. So, in the first stage of the development, corporation might have to invest just the money. However, after a certain period of time, university could compensate, by, creating new knowledge for their corporations.
They've got to take a more long-term perspective on this. It doesn't come quickly. It takes some time, but in the long run, it will be beneficial to the company and to everybody involved as well. Right? You are a scientist. You've studied. You've developed your craft over a period of 2 decades now. You could have focused solely on being a professor and teaching the young minds of the world. But you're working with companies. You're very active working with companies.
Yes.
Why is that? Why is it important to you?
I think I need to tell you my private story. Actually, I have biological parents, but I have American mother too. I was born in very poor family. So right after I was born, one lady called Edna Nelson in St. Paul, Nebraska, she decided to help me. So she sent some money and toys and clothes. Okay. So I got the experience. So our children is the future of our country and the world as well. So the helping children in need is a really important process to make the better world. Okay, so that's why the reason why I got engaged in the Unitate, to collect money through the airline Global Solidarity Tax is that actually we invest a lot of money for children, with AIDS and malaria and TB. Okay, so I want to apply. I want to extend my this Global Solidarity Tax to another areas. For example, semiconductors, when you purchase the smartphones, we collect a tax, for example, just $1 or $5. That is a painless contribution, out of $1,000, right? When you purchase the automobiles, you pay for $30,000. We collect just $10 for children. So my belief is that I thought only rich people such as Bill Gates could help poor people, but I don't think so. Everybody could help each other, just by donating small money. So those small contribution could make big money, so it could change the world. So that's what I want to do.
That's your long-term goal.
Yes,
of course. We're knocking on the door of 2013 or 2014, I should say, right now. What's in your plans for the coming year?
For the next year. For the next year, actually, I was, I have been working with some, businessmen. So, actually, I want to, complete the commercialization of, another science, next year. And also, as I said, I want to extend my efforts to help, children.
We'll certainly be watching you and your accomplishments in the coming year. We appreciate you being on the show. And once again, congratulations on winning the grand prize.
Thank you.
This year. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you, as always, for watching. We'll see you next time, After 10.